What's up, everybody? You're watching the From WordPress to Statamic YouTube channel. My name is Michael. Today, I want to talk about custom tags in Statamic. Now, what's the purpose of a custom tag? Well, as we've seen with tags before, this is our way of interacting with the data in a Statamic project. We would use the collection tag, for example, to retrieve our data from our different collections, or taxonomies, or images, that sort of thing. Now, if we're in WordPress, in our templates with PHP, we could just interact with the database directly using a WP query class and just do all the data fetching right within our template. That can get a little bit messy, as we know. So it's nice to abstract things away a little bit. In Statamic, we would create a custom tag and use PHP to fetch all of our information and do any of the transformations that we might need to do right there before sending it back to our Antlers template. So let's take a look at a basic example and then build it from there. Now, the way to do that in Statamic is to generate one from the command line. So I'm just going to bring the terminal over and I'm going to say PHP, please make tag. And I'm just going to call it test for now for simplicity. And if we look over on the right side, you can see inside the app directory, we now have a new tags directory. And if I pop that open, I've got this test.php. And it comes with two functions out of the box. So we've got this index function and an example function, and we're going to talk about the second one a little bit later. But for now, the index is what's going to run when I call my tag and provide that information into my Antlers template. So for starters, I'm just going to return a string. Return hello from custom tag. Okay, and I'll come back to my template here, and I'm just going to run test inside of a tag. And there we go. There's the string that I just defined inside of my test tag. This is kind of a simplistic example, but if I wanted some common string that was super long or whatever, and I wanted to just simplify it like this, I can do this and use it anywhere in the project. Why don't we do something a little bit more interesting though? Why don't we make it an array and give it some properties? Like my name is Michael, and my country is Canada. Now in this case, nothing's going to show because I haven't changed my template yet. And because it's an array, I now need to make it a tag pair. And inside of here, I can access the properties from my array. So let's just make it look like a list. And I'll start with the name. And I'll add the country. And give it a refresh, and there we go. Now, with just a single array like this, I can have as many properties as I want, but it's not really going to be iterating over a list like we might see with a collection. I'm just going to close this thing off here. There we go. Now, the way that I could do that is make this a multi-dimensional array. So if I was to do this. Let's just format this a little bit nicer. And I duplicate that. And let's say we've got Jack here. And Jack is in the US of A. Okay, so now I have a multi-dimensional array that my tag pair will loop over. And so I should have two list items in my template now, each with the individual values. Give it a refresh. And there we go. Okay, so as you can see, there's lots of ways to interact with tags here. Now, probably the most common use case here is to maybe do something complex in interacting with the data that we've defined and accessed through our control panel. So how would we do that now? Well, rather than returning this hard-coded array of stuff, why don't we define a variable? We'll call it entries. And then we'll return that entries. But right now it's nothing. So why don't we say entries has to be equal to something, and we need to query our data. Now the way that we're going to do that is we're going to just bring in something else from Statamic here. We'll say use Statamic, and we'll look at the facades and entries. Oh, it's entry. There we go. So this will give us a way of interacting with our data, and we give it some parameters of what kind of data we want to specify. So I'll use the entry and the query method. And now I'm going to specify what kind of data that I want and how do I want to have it organized. So I'll say where the collection is equal to the blog. You can spell it right. And maybe I want to order by the date and make it descending so that I get the latest stuff at the top of the list. And then I'll just execute that with the get method. Okay, so if we just read this in English together, I'm going to query my data for the blog collection and then order it by the date descending, and then we'll get that. And I'm just going to return this, and it should be an array of my data that I can now output into my template. Let's give it a refresh, and I get nothing because the values that I defined here are not available in those things. So if I just go back here, in a default collection, I should have the title. There we go. So I have some titles there. And what else would I have? I might have the slug. Okay. I've got my slugs here and the titles. So now I'm actually interacting with the content from our Statamic project and not just defining arbitrary strings of hard-coded data. Now, if I wanted to go further from this, as you can see, there's this example where we're adding this syntax with the colon there. This is going to be a different method for this class, but we'll save that for the next video. I think this is enough to get started for today. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you haven't already, sign up for my newsletter. The link is in the description. Catch you next time.